Welcome to the last lesson in this introductory unit related to the time value of money. My name is Brent Pritchard. I teach college finance courses, and I'm here to help you grasp this all-important concept. I always like to start class with a quote, so here we go with the quote of this last lesson. There is no such thing as a self-made person. We are made up of thousands of others. Everyone who has ever done a kind deed for us or spoken one word of encouragement to us has entered into the makeup of our character and of our thoughts, as well as our success. I love that quote from George Matthew Adams. The illustration that you see on this slide starts the how section of the book that is the first of its kind user manual for the mathematics of finance. And through this introductory unit, you've been working with the TVM formula. The original TVM rules, the mnemonic and audible aid indifferent, the 3-1-2 warm-up routine for determining the true investment yield, the TVM wallet that is the visual aid and solution to analysis paralysis, and last but not least, the three-step systematic approach for analyzing and evaluating real-world time value of money situations. This illustration alone conveys that Would Your Boomerang Return is not your traditional finance textbook. And then there are stories. So to close out this introductory unit, I'd like to read you one of these stories from the book, if I could. It's a fun one. This is the close to chapter 2. As this chapter comes to an end, here's one of my favorite running stories that you probably haven't heard. One day I found myself looking over Whit's shoulders in his office as we both stared with jaws on the floor at the course map for his upcoming ultramarathon. He was preparing to run a stage race that covered approximately 150 miles over 6 days. Little did he know that the story that he would bring home was even more epic. The hot stretch from the first 2 days extended into stage 3, which covered approximately 9 miles. With 3 stages in the books, day 4 was a scheduled rest day to help runners recover for stage 4 and stage 5, which would cover 53 miles and 20 miles respectively. Around the finish line for stage 3, he noticed people jumping off a high bridge into the cool Colorado River water below. What he later came to realize was that these were younger race volunteers. They hadn't run any of the more than 70 miles that made up the first 3 stages. I guess sometimes in life, people really do need to answer the question, if everyone else jumped off a bridge, would you? Unfortunately, Whit didn't enter the water as gracefully as the other jumpers. Right before entry, his torso angled just enough to liken the impact to that of hitting a concrete wall. When he was back in the office, he showed me a picture of a bruise that extended from his armpit to below his hip. He ended up breaking 2 ribs that day. A couple days after the jump, the race doctor said that he would not have let him run and would have taken him to the hospital to check for a ruptured spleen, but there was no reason for an MRI anymore, he said, because Whit survived. Whit's rib cage had begun to contract overnight. In order to breathe, Whit had to expand his chest against the tightening scar tissue. But gradually, by taking on a little more pain, his chest opened up and he could breathe better. In indescribable pain, he went on to finish stage 4 and stage 5. Oh, and I should add that the routes the last 2 race days included crazy elevation changes. Needless to say, he was one of the slowest runners on the course those last 2 days. Ultra endurance events like this one have what they call sweepers, people on bikes who ensure that back of the pack runners don't get left on the course. When he got back to the office and shared the story with me, he got very emotional as he relived the event. The course sweeper had told him something to the effect of, I've been around all kinds of world-class athletes, and I've never seen anything like this before. Those 2 days, that sweeper had a front row saddle seat to 2 of the most epic and unreported endurance events to ever have taken place. While Witt finished each of the stages, he technically did not finish stage 5 under the cutoff time, which earned him what in the ultra community is referred to as a DNF, did not finish. At the celebration event that was put on for runners at the conclusion of stage 5, fellow runners rallied around Witt to recognize this incredible feat of endurance. Over the years, our family has tracked many of Witt's adventures from afar. One particular day, we were at the dinner table as Witt, miles away, was preparing to run over desert dunes at night with little more than a headlamp and a few other runners who shared the same passion. Just as they did at the dinner table that night, still to this day, our daughters can finish the sentence that starts with, "If Gary can run 53 miles with broken ribs," with, "You can do whatever you put your mind to." If that doesn't inspire you in some way, I don't know what will. The new take on the time value of money introduced in this section will position you for success as you take a deep dive into practical application of the mathematics of finance in the how section. Well rested and comfortable. If you spend the same amount of time studying as Witt did running in pain, 1,596 minutes to be exact, you can learn the time value of money like the back of your hand. Sound like too much work? Want to know what Witt would say? Suck it up, whiny babies. So that's a wrap. If you like what you learned in this lesson, please consider telling your friends about this channel, TVM Rules, and the book, Would Your Boomerang Return, that made it possible. By my count, there are approximately 574 minutes of content in this introductory unit, just over 9.5 hours. If you've been with me the whole time, I want to thank you. And if you just stumbled across this lesson, thanks for watching this long. My experience in the classroom has provided firsthand evidence that even the most dedicated students can stumble or struggle when applying the mathematics of finance. You owe it to your present and future self to learn the time value of money like the back of your hand. Getting back to Witt's story, by my count, you have at least 1,022 minutes of hard work left in you if you want to work it, learning the time value of money, like a job. So if you haven't purchased your copy yet, all the important information on this all-important topic is gift-wrapped within the cover of Would Your Boomerang Return. Until next time, enjoy the gift that is the present.